Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Off the Scribe podcast. I have with me another very special guest named Michelle Anhang. How are you, Michelle?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah. So I've been meaning to talk with you since I've seen your story and what you wrote about yourself, what you posted, and I was interested, and you intrigued my imagination, and I wanted to talk with you. So can you please first introduce yourself before we get on with it, shall we say?
Sure, happy to. So yes, my name is Michelle Anhang. I am in Toronto, Canada. I am a mental health coach. So I specialize in helping people empower themselves around their own mental health to lead a happier and healthier life. I believe that our society is not doing a great job when it comes to mental health. Often we're just kind of thrown some medication and good luck. And if you get therapy, then lucky for you, but it's a very fragmented system, and it's very disempowering for people. Often, they just kind of feel lost and hopeless and not really sure what to do, particularly, if it takes some time sometimes for medication to work or getting the right one or the right dose. And it's a very frustrating experience for people. So my work revolves around helping people find ways that they can where the areas where they do have control in their lives, and looking at it from a holistic perspective of, how much sleep are you getting? What are you eating? Different types of techniques to help them calm themselves. If they're feeling anxious, or, if it's depression, how do you get yourself moving with motivation? So, different things like that, so that my clients see that, wow, there is so much more that I can do, and feel empowered and, take control of their lives.
Yeah, that's great. A great thing that you do. But before we jump into our main topic, so can you talk a little bit about your interests? How did you come to be a kind of a coach, a life coach, whatever that means exactly? Or
Sure. I've always been interested in personal development. I mean, a few decades ago, I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. I loved psychology, the way the mind works, the way people work. But at the time, I was very young and didn't want to be a therapist, and was getting married and just got a job and went into, a career that I thought was the right thing to do. So I ended up then spending 25 years in the corporate world, doing jobs where I learned a lot, but it wasn't really my passion. And life, has its way of bringing us back to where we really need to be. And we just have to have our eyes open to recognizing it. And so, found life coaching. And I remember not knowing a lot about it, but a friend of mine had said, take this course. She was a coach. I still didn't know what it was, even though she tried to explain it to me. She said, just try this course. It's just a couple of days. It's over a weekend. I think you'll like it. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll try it. The first day I was shocked. I was just like, I don't know this, like, where am I? And then I slowly started realizing, well, these are my people. This is a place where we can talk about our emotions, where we can talk about our dreams, where, all of this is not just okay, but it's welcomed. Whereas, in the corporate world, it's very much, fixed on very different values that were not necessarily aligned with mine. So that was my journey into life coaching. My interests, outside of pandemic days, I love dancing. I used to dance 2 or 3 times a week. I've trained in pretty much every different style, but I'm not particularly good at any one of them. So I say I'm pretty bad at a lot of different styles, but I can do a few steps in each. And my favorite form of dancing is actually called Ecstatic Dance, which is it's based on old, tribal dances where it was just meant, however the music calls you to move, you move. So whether you want to shake, whether you want to roll around on the floor, whether you want to dance, freely jump up and down, you do it. And it's very liberating. And I love that experience and can't wait to get back to it when things open up more here in Canada.
Yeah. So what were the kind of major influences on you when you started to actually teach or to guide people in life coaching? I don't know what that is. I have no idea. I remember that maybe one time I went to something that maybe called the mentor or something. I don't know. There is a nice word for it, but I can't remember. But they call it a coaching also here. But yeah, I don't
There's
know
a
what
lot of
that is.
confusion about, so coaching and mentoring are different. Coaching is also different from consulting, and I'm so glad that you brought this up. So mentoring is, I have experiences in a certain area, and so I'm going to teach you based on my own experience. Help you grow in whatever area you're in. Consulting is also a lot of advice giving. In coaching, say you're my client, so you and I are partners, and in this relationship, you are the expert because you know what works for you. My role as a coach is to ask you the questions to help you discover your own answers to whatever it is that you're seeking. So where, I'm not going to make an assumption that something's going to work for you because I don't know. You know what works for you. So I might say this came up, how, is this something you might want to try? And if it's not, you're like, no, I don't. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let's find what works for you then. So it's very much, the questions to help you dig deeper or move faster. There's accountability as well. So, when you have coaching sessions, there's always what we call homework. So it's just helping you move forward. Essentially, people will get a coach because there's something that they want in life. If it's a goal, it might be something very practical, like I want to get a promotion, or it could just be I want to live a more fulfilling life. So it's very much present and future focused. So the homework piece helps you continue moving forward even between the sessions.
Yeah. So when you're talking about all those types of branches of the human mind or the human psyche, trying to kind of treat the soul with all types of method. What is the kind of preferable way to go about it, or the method that is best applied for, I don't know, the average person?
The best method is the method that works for them. I don't believe in fitting people into boxes. I grew up in many, and I think most of us have, boxes that we've been fit into of this is what's right and this is not. This is what's wrong.
Yeah.
And my number one value is freedom, and I believe that we need to find out what works for us and to make our own choices. So even in the coaching that I'm doing with mental health, I'm helping people find what works best for them. I'm not saying this is my agenda and this is the formula that I have for you. It might have worked for me. It doesn't mean it's going to have any effect on you. So really it's about exploring what will work for you. Is it about, meditation? Some people love meditation. Some people say, you're not going to get me to sit down for 1 minute, to meditate. And that's okay. That's not wrong. It's just a different way of doing things. So I believe very much that it's really just exploring, sometimes we forget what's worked for us in the past. We need somebody to help us remember how we have gotten through hard times in the past, because that's what got you through the last time. There are probably things in there that will help you this time around. And if not, then maybe learning what not to do next time. There's a lot of value in that as well.
Yeah. It seems to me that a lot of, I don't know, if I'm a skeptic or a scientist, I'm always a skeptic. It's not a new deal, but sometimes I give myself up to the kind of divine, or the kind of I give myself up to the process. I let myself go under the spell. So how do people should go about it? Should try to forget their kind of critical thinking, to put it aside, and to kind of let themselves experience the process, to really kind of dedicate and to be motivated in reaching their goals for the treatment or process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Neurologically or biologically, we're wired to be looking out for danger and to keep ourselves safe. That's how humans have remained in existence. So the first thing is to realize that voice in your head that is telling you, don't do that, or being critical, it's there for a reason. And we don't always have to listen to it, because it doesn't know the difference between a real danger and a perceived danger. So anytime we're doing anything big in life, anything bigger or outside of our comfort zone, the critic is going to show up. So I will often coach people around changing the way that we see that critic, because really, if it's showing up, that means you're onto something good. You're doing something bigger, you're stretching yourself. And so we can either be afraid of it and then stay small and stay comfortable and stay where we are, or we can say, okay, thank you for showing up. Thank you for letting me know that I'm onto something bigger than I've already done. And now please move out of the way. I have things to do. So different ways to explore that. And I think the first step is just having the awareness of when it shows up, and realizing that just because we have the thought, we don't need to believe it. And then from there, shifting the perspective of, okay, it's here. Is there value in it? If yes, okay, then listen to, okay, what might it be telling me? Maybe don't gamble all your money away on this one thing. Or is it just, because I'm feeling nervous that it's here, but really, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm just, about to put out a new project to the world. And so, it's a little scary, but I'm going to be fine. And I think an important thing to remember too is the feeling of being scared and being excited are the exact same feeling in our bodies. We feel the butterflies, we feel that nervousness. And so we get to choose, am I going to be afraid, or am I really just excited about it?
So what are you more excited about? About kind of dancing, or did you always want to be a kind of a life coach, guide, or did you have other fields of interest, or careers you wanted to pursue?
Oh, good question. I'm a lifelong learner. For me, I love pushing myself. I love learning. I love exploring new things. So I always stay open to opportunities. I think I've had 6 or 7 different careers in my life. And I don't know that this is the last one either, because life is like that. Things come up and it's like, oh, I didn't know that was around, and that sounds exciting. Why don't I try it? So for me, I think I'm just most excited about discovering, what's ahead. Like you were saying, just kind of giving up, surrendering, just, being open
Mhm.
to whatever might show up, and going with it. And that's really how I found dance too. It was, I've always liked dancing as a kid. I, never took lessons, but I think I did ballet maybe when I was 6 years old, but it was just something that whenever there was music, I was always moving. And one day I just said, you know what, I'm going to take a course. I'll take some lessons, see what that's about. And I loved it. And I was like, okay,
Yeah, it was the
what's
same.
next?
It was the same teacher as the life coach.
No, no.
It seems, yeah, it seems befitting, shall we say, that she will. No, I'm
Yes.
just kidding, but yeah, I'm half kidding. But what was the impetus for your current incarnation as a life coach?
The impetus, the impetus was my own life experience, dealing with my own mental health challenges. And, I live with depression and anxiety. And as well, from losing my husband by suicide, he had severe mental illness as well. And seeing how little support we had. And, again, like I mentioned, just the fragmented system around it, that people are really suffering and don't know where to turn. And there are so many phone numbers and so many things, but it's kind of, you have one helpline or a few sessions and then you're on your way. Okay, now what? So through this experience, this is what had me really recognize that this is an area that I know a lot about and that I see there's a need.
Mm-hmm. So can you recollect or take me back to when did the kind of depression route, where the kind of road to, I don't know, to self-destruction began for you as well, as you've mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and you fell into deep depression, so as well as your husband. So what are the kind of the predecessors or the precursors for
Oh,
that beginning? Yeah.
so many different variables, so many things that, we could point to. For my husband, he had had some mental health challenges throughout his life, but growing up in the 70s, it wasn't something that was really identified and, didn't know about. The lack of education, lack of knowledge and understanding. I had moments of depression as well, but they were so few and far between that I didn't recognize them to be that. And I always just thought, okay, I'm feeling down. There was always a reason I could put behind it, whether it was the reason or not, but I was, able to justify it to myself. But with my husband, he was experiencing his own challenges. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and a form of schizophrenia. I believe they call it schizoaffective disorder, which is essentially bipolar. So you have the manic episodes and you have depression, and he had the voices in his head as well that were talking to him. So I think with him it was gradual as well. And then, throw in some stigma and, he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to worry me. He didn't want to worry anybody. He hid it for a long time till it got to a point where, he couldn't hide it anymore. It was affecting his work. It was affecting our family. And that's when he got the help that he needed. But unfortunately, his illness was quite progressed at that point. And till they were trying to figure out the different medications and different forms of treatment. And that was a 2.5-year process. And they never really got it quite right. And by the end of his life, he was taking 17 pills a day, between antipsychotic medication, I don't even know it was a cocktail, and then pills to counter the side effects of all the different medications he was taking. So he essentially lost hope. He didn't feel like he was going to get any better. He felt that, the voices in his head were getting louder, and, he didn't feel like there was anything he could do about it. And, he called me before he died, and he told me he had given up.
Yeah, yeah. So when did you kind of notice the signs beginning to pop up that he was starting to spiral?
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint exactly, because again, it was pretty sporadic. It was more, the depression was kind of there, but again, he was fighting it, he was resisting it, and there were unusual things that were happening. Now looking back, I can say, oh, that was that, there was this. But at the time, it was just, you're so close, and you're in this life with this person day to day. And then one very unusual thing happens that, of course, the person can explain, in their own way of why it made sense. So you're not putting, I wasn't putting the two together that, oh, maybe there's something wrong. And I didn't have the education. I didn't know, oh, these are things to be looking out for, maybe there's something wrong. And I what prompted us to get him treated, which led to the diagnosis, was that the depression got so bad that he couldn't get out of bed for days. And so that's when it was like, okay, we need to get you the help. And then through that process, that's when they diagnosed the rest. And then it was like, oh, okay, now that I know that it's bipolar disorder, now I understand what those unusual things were.
Did he try to bring it up during your conversation in some shape or form?
That he wanted to die?
No, what he was going through, his own depression.
No, he didn't want to talk about it. That was the problem, that he thought he had it under control. And, he was the type of person that wanted to help people, not get help from people. So he was very much, I'll take care of this. I've got it. So he didn't share most of it with me.
So I don't want to go too deep or to probe you too much, but just if you can talk about a little bit about depression or early signs of depression. How does it look like? What should you be guarding against, shall we say?
Yeah. So depression, a lot of people will hear like depression, they can't get out of bed, they're very sad, and those are definitely symptoms of depression, and it can look different in different people. So when I experienced my depression, and this was also part of what took me so long to get the diagnosis, was, so for me, depression was just being tired all the time. Mm-hmm. And I needed to take a nap in the afternoon, and I'd be sleeping 9 hours at night, and I just felt physically tired. So it was, you could almost say like, I could think about it that, oh, maybe I'm coming down with something. My body feels fatigued. I didn't feel the sadness. For me, I couldn't feel anything. And so that's actually how I knew something was wrong, because usually I'm the type of person that will cry at every movie and cry in commercials. If people win $1 million, I'm crying because I'm so happy for them. And so for me, the signal was actually, I'm not crying. I'm not feeling anything. I couldn't feel joy and I couldn't feel sadness. And I was tired. So that's different ways that it can manifest. But essentially, the feeling of just slowing down, not being motivated, and having it last for, a period of time. So it's something, it may be, you're experiencing it over a number of weeks. It could be a day here, a day there. But if, somebody is noticing that, wow, there's a pattern here, it's worth getting it checked out. And not to say that it is necessarily a mental illness either. I always say to people, when if you're not feeling like yourself, go to your doctor first, and ask for blood work, because often there are vitamin deficiencies, there could be thyroid issues, there are different medical reasons that could be why you're feeling tired, why you don't have the energy, why you're feeling emotional or unemotional. So always do that to rule it out. And then, the doctor can usually tell, they can do an assessment with you. But it's a good place to start, just with your family doctor that you know and trust. You can say, I am concerned it's depression, just to let them know that is a concern, and ask for the full blood work as well to rule out. Because, I know vitamin B12, if that's too low, we're going to feel tired. And that will affect our mood as well, just being tired. So it's always best to rule these things out first.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your kind of opinion on, I don't want to say kind of treatments or medication, because, both of us don't have
Right.
we're not a pharmacist or medical doctors or physicians. We don't have the,
we don't have the degrees.
don't have the authority,
Yes,
I think,
yes.
to speak on the matter.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, of course, we don't have that also. But I'm trying to get back to the kind of living with someone with depression, or someone might be living with someone with depression. What are the kind of the telltale signs, even though the person is refusing to talk? He displays a lot of kind of physical fatigue, maybe displays kind of erratic behavior, or impulsive acts. So what are the things you should watch for?
Well, you just named most of them.
Okay.
And again, it's really, if the person is behaving out of their norm, they're not acting as they usually do, that's an indication that, maybe there's something going on. Whether it's mental illness or not, we don't know. But, if you're noticing that your loved one is not themselves, it's worth pointing it out to them and just saying, I'm noticing you're not yourself. And, this is where you can suggest to them, maybe go to your doctor, get some blood work done, see what they say. And remembering too that, if your loved one is an adult, they may say no, they may not want that. And, there's not much we can do to get a loved one treatment, particularly if you're just having suspicions. Obviously, if somebody's in an extreme case, that's something else. And often you'll already know that there's something there. But in the case of a family member, just making the suggestion, offering to be, loving support, to help them if they need help making an appointment, if, and you want to check in with them too. You don't want to be going and making the appointment for them and, hey, I made an appointment for you at the doctor. Again, it's empowering them that this is their health. And, just saying, I'm here to support you in any way. Let me know if you want me to go with you to an appointment or make the appointment, whatever it is. Or maybe they just want you to listen, but often we try to, when we love someone a lot, we want to fix them and make them better. And so we have to remember that that's not our role. It's not to fix them. We can't. We are just their loved one. We don't have the professional training, but you can do what you can to help them get that kind of training.
Yeah.
And if you're, living with somebody who has any kind of mental illness, I think the most important thing that you can do is take care of yourself. And I know a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, that feels so selfish. And it's not. It's the most generous thing that you can give to them. I mean, for one thing, it takes the focus off of the loved one, because often we're just like, are you okay? And how are you feeling now? And how are you feeling now? And how about now? And they start to get upset, because it's like, get off me, leave me alone. I'm okay. So when we're remembering, okay, the focus is on us, then it takes a little bit off of them. And also, we can't support our family members or our loved ones when we are not taking care of ourselves. We have to have that full cup. And then we have the overflowing. That's what we give to our loved ones. And, I often say that when we're tired and, we're too much in their space, we get it to a place where we start to get resentful too. It's like, oh, I always have to take care of them. I always have to check up on them. And that's not being a loving person, because really deep down, we're a little bit angry that we have to do this. So that's the other piece of self-care. When you're taking care of yourself and you're well rested, you've given you're exercising, you're doing whatever it is you need to do, you're having your distance and your free time, then the time that you spend with your family member is so much more valuable, because you're coming from a place of like, I'm full. And now, what can I give to you, versus, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. And now you need something else from me. It's very different energies around that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make a person drink from the well that he doesn't want to drink from, and he has to do it by himself. And it's like hunting a gazelle or something like this, to let the gazelle do it, that his gazelling stuff.
Yes.
Live his gazelling, and then you attack at the right moment. I'm sorry for this analogy, but I think it's in place, because you have to give the person a lot of space. And when you see that they are mentally they're freed up to speak and converse and communicate, then you attack immediately.
Well, don't attack, because they'll feel that. But yes.
Attack. No.
But yes.
No, you get my drift when you.
Yes,
when
it's about the timing. It's really, giving them the space, and then sometimes they're going to come to you, and just because they feel, that their space is being respected.
Yeah. One last thing, I don't think if you have any kinds of proclivities to the art or to art therapy. So what are your kind of thoughts on the maybe what's it called? Well, I forgot. Maybe the veracity of art therapy, or the effectiveness, maybe. Well, is there any kind of science or research or
I don't know any specific science about it, only because I haven't looked into that. But I think any creative form of expression, if that's how you can express yourself and it's easier than using words, use it. Expression is expression. So I have two sons. They're now 19 and 22, but they were 7 and 4 when their father passed away. And I had them in a group therapy, a grief group. And for them, they did a lot of art therapy. And because little children they don't know what they're feeling. Like, they can't fully identify it, or it's like, I'm angry or I'm sad, but they didn't have the words for it. So they did quite a bit of art therapy, and it was very healing for them, because that's just how they could express it. That felt meaningful for them. So whether it was a memory box that they made, or a totem of, just whatever it was, that had meaning. And so really anything, I think, that that feels meaningful and, you know, and is an expression that's getting it out of, you know, your mind, your body, and getting it outside of you is good. And if you're feeling better, then it's really good. So
Yeah.
that's how you know it works.
Yeah, well, Michelle and Hank, I want to thank you so much for this amazing and important conversation, which I think a lot of people will be interested in listening and tuning into in their spare time, jogging, or I don't know, trying to, or maybe trying to kind of cheer up a loved one, or to make someone's a stranger's day a little better by their words, or not mine, because I'm not trying to make people feel better. I'm trying to make them learn, I think, and to learn myself in the process. Learn to think about things, to maybe reaffirm the idea that life is sacred and human beings should strive to better their own lives and the lives of others by their words, maybe, I think. Because, you know, we jump into action too fast, and the word is sometimes a lot more powerful, shall we say, has uh, a lot more effective, a lot more influential than just trying to fix something.
Yes.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
broken, yeah, in your perspective. But so, do you have any closing words before we go?
Ah, closing words. What can I say?
Closing lines.
Well, I want to thank you first of all for the opportunity to be on your show.
Thank you.
And I think, you know, most importantly, if you're concerned about your own mental health or somebody else's, definitely, you know, don't wait. You know, do something about it. Talk to somebody. There is support. But as I said before, you know, go start with your doctor. Start by speaking to your doctor as the first person, somebody that you feel safe with, and go from there. But yeah, don't, you know, especially during these times with the pandemic, a lot of people are struggling, and the worst thing that we can do is keep it inside of us.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Michelle. This has been a great conversation, and I'm hoping we'll get to talk to each other about other topics, if you're willing, in the future.
Sure. I'd love to. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.